to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the world of global corporate services. Now, this is a huge industry, right? It's all designed to make doing business across borders totally seamless. But what happens when you're looking through their services and you find something that seems to be hiding in plain sight? Something that makes you go, wait, what? Let's dig in.
So you go to their websites, and on the surface, everything looks professional, helpful, safe. You see these reassuring slogans all over the place, promising they'll handle all the messy, complicated parts of global business for you. It's all about making things easy.
And the services they list? Well, they look totally normal. The standard stuff. They'll help you set up a company, they'll manage your payroll, deal with European VAT, file your taxes, even find you a director. These are just the basic building blocks you need to run a business anywhere. But if you look really, really closely, sometimes you find one little thing that just doesn't quite fit.
Yeah, like this. We found this line, hide the source of your goods, buried in a long, long list of otherwise boring trading services on one company's site. I mean, it just jumps off the page, doesn't it? It's the complete opposite of all that talk about transparency and doing business the safest way.
So you have to ask, what could this service possibly be for? I mean, what's the legitimate business reason for needing to hide the source of your products? And, more importantly, could a service like this be used for something, well, not so legitimate? To really get what's going on here, we have to take a step back and look at a much bigger picture.
To really understand why a service like that might even exist, we first have to talk about money laundering. Now, that's a term we all hear thrown around, but what does it actually mean?
So if you look at the official rulebook, the regulatory guidelines, here's the deal. Money laundering isn't just about washing cash, it's the whole process. You take the money you made from a crime, they call that the proceeds, and you run it through a system to make it look like it came from a totally legitimate source. The entire goal is to disguise where it really came from, to break that financial trail that leads right back to the crime.
And we are not talking about petty cash here. The crimes that generate this money, the predicate offenses, are serious. For example, a national risk assessment done in the UAE, a major global financial hub, flagged these as the highest threats. We're talking about massive fraud, counterfeiting, drug trafficking, the big stuff.
So how do they actually pull it off? How do criminals turn that dirty money into clean cash? Well, the people trying to stop them have broken it down into this classic three-step process. And when you see it laid out, this super complex crime starts to make a lot more sense.
Okay, so step one is placement. You've got a pile of dirty money and you have to get it into the financial system. Maybe you do that by breaking up a huge amount of cash into lots of smaller deposits so you don't raise any red flags. Then comes step two, layering. And this is the real magic trick. This is where you hide the money's origin by moving it through a super complicated web of transactions, shell companies, and offshore accounts. And finally, you have step three, integration. The money, now looking clean, comes back into the regular economy, maybe as profit from a business that looks totally normal.
Okay, so we've got the 3 steps down: placement, layering, integration. Now, let's connect all this back to those corporate services we saw at the beginning. How can these everyday, legitimate-looking business tools actually be used for that crucial layering step to hide where the money came from?
Okay, check this out. This is where it gets really interesting. On the left, you have a red flag straight from the regulators. They're warning about criminals using offshore companies to hide who's really in control of the money. And on the right, a core service offered by these firms, setting up companies in those exact kinds of places. See the overlap?
And here's another one. Regulators are always on the lookout for the use of nominees. These are basically people who agree to be the official face of a company to hide the real owner's identity. And what's a service on offer? Providing exactly that, nominee directors or temporary CEOs. So the key thing here is that a service that could be used for totally legitimate reasons, like privacy, could also be the perfect tool to hide something illegal.
And one last example. The rules warn about professionals, lawyers, accountants, being used as gatekeepers to make everything look legitimate and above board. And who are these gatekeepers? Well, they're the same experts providing essential services like tax filing and audit help. Services that, if they're misused, can make dirty money look clean.
So you're probably thinking, isn't anyone trying to stop this? And the answer is yes, absolutely. There is a massive global system in place specifically designed to shut down these kinds of financial games.
This right here, this is the cover of the official anti-money laundering or AML guidelines for financial institutions in the UAE. And documents just like this exist all over the world.
They're the rulebook for banks and other financial firms, essentially making them the first line of defense in the fight against financial crime.
Now, the absolute heart of this whole defense system is a really simple but powerful idea called customer due diligence, or CDD. You've probably heard of it as Know Your Customer, KYC. It basically means that banks have a legal duty to figure out who their customers really are. They can't just open an account for anybody. They have to dig down and identify the beneficial owner, the actual human being who's ultimately pulling the strings and controlling the money.
And honestly, that's just the start of it. Their responsibilities are huge. They have to identify that true owner, they have to constantly monitor transactions for anything weird or unusual, and this is critical. If they spot something that doesn't feel right, they are legally required to file a suspicious transaction report with the authorities. All of this is designed to create a paper trail, to make it impossible to hide in the shadows.
So, with all these rules and all these watchdogs, you'd think the problem would be solved, right? Well, the reality is this is a constant, high-stakes game of cat and mouse.
I mean, listen to this. This is a quote from the regulator's own document. They admit that criminals are always adapting. Their methods are constantly evolving, always getting more sophisticated. As soon as one loophole gets closed, they're already searching for the next one, always trying to stay one step ahead.
And that brings us right back to where we started, that central, nagging question. A service to set up an offshore company, to provide a nominee director, or even to hide the source of your goods. It might have a perfectly legal, legitimate use case, but in the wrong hands, that very same service becomes a powerful tool for a global criminal enterprise. So it leaves you wondering, in this incredibly complex world of international business, how do you even tell the difference between the tool and the weapon?